Welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. This is a conversation some of us wish we had had with a loved one or knew what to say to someone else who had served our country and was struggling before it's too late to be there for that military vet. What could we have done? My guests today are from the nonprofit Stay Alive Vets. We will have ways to reach them during this InSight, but the message is clear. Help is here now for our veterans and their families. Their mission: end veteran suicide. Would you please welcome my guest, Dr. Angela Plowhead, Board President of Stay Alive Vets, and Veteran and Secretary Alvin Kaussen. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Your organization is Vets Helping Vets, primarily. How did it get started? Angela.
So this was started several years ago. Really, it was born out of a desire that I had just to honor veterans on Veterans Day. And so it started with me buying a bunch of pizzas, and I got some donations for cheesecakes from Beloved Cheesecakes. And we had a few other people that came out, and we met in a gun range, and we just had a good time on Veterans Day. We had people come and talk about their stories about how veterans were still continuing to serve our community even after their military service. And so through that, we did a little raffle. I raised like $700, and
wow.
I was able to take that and give that to Lines for Life Military Line. And then that really set off in me the idea that we can actually turn this into something really useful for our community, where we can make real and lasting change in people's lives and in our community as a whole.
And both of you thought this is needed. Really, really needed. Alvin, what's your story with you? You have a nonprofit of your own.
I do. So I'm a board member on Stay Alive Vets, and I was asked a couple of years ago by Angela to join the board. And my other nonprofit is Courtney Place Veterans Housing, and both the missions of those nonprofits kind of merge together at a point. It's trying to help veterans take that next step in their life and try to help with behavioral health and mental health challenges.
Let's go to the core of this. You're talking they really need help. What's going on? Why has this become front and center more than anything, it seems? I mean, in addition to housing and all those things, it starts with, I'm not doing very well.
Yeah, and so, you know, in general, veterans have about, and the stats kind of vary from different generations, but generally there's about 25% of veterans will end up developing PTSD. And many veterans beyond that have difficulty reintegrating back into the community after military service. And there's a number of reasons for that. You know, you go typically from being very young. As an enlisted person, you might have enlisted at 17 or 18 years old. And then as an officer, you might have joined when you were, 21, 22, 23. So they're all very young adults that are being given very heavy missions and responsibilities that they have to take care of. And then they come home from having done that, whether they're stateside, their career, or deployed. They come home from that, and then they're oftentimes have difficulty finding jobs, or the jobs that they end up getting are ones that have much less responsibility and weight than what they were tasked with when they were in the military. And so that identity that you have of having a mission and having people in your life that you're doing that mission with just isn't there anymore, or in the same way. And so feeling just sort of at sea and lost is a very common experience that I think a lot of veterans have when they're reintegrating back into civilian life.
PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. Have you both experienced that?
So, I think that and I'll let Alvin speak for himself, but, I think for anyone who has been in the military and you've actually been deployed and had to experience the taking of another life, that's not something that is easy to to live with or to adjust to. And so it's a very common experience for I think many veterans.
It's difficult to talk about
It is.
because it's internal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think from my own personal experience that I can apply to this conversation is, they train us to be warriors because we have to defend the nation. And I had 2 or 3 years of training, and then I deployed for 3 years. And then you get out, and the reintegration, we don't have a lot of training in reintegration and becoming normal again. So they gave me a 2-week course on here's how you fill out a resume, here's how you go to college, good luck. So, I pretty much trained and participated in war for 5 or 6 years. Then I have a 2-week course on how to be, a normal civilian again.
What did you do?
So I was in the United States Marine Corps as signals intelligence. I intercepted communications between bad guys while we were out on patrol. So we would be out on patrol with a unit of grunts, and we would intercept communications that say, hey, we're hiding the weapons in this house, make sure you put them in the basement or something. And I'd say, well, they're going to be hiding these weapons in this house. We should go to that house and take those weapons.
That's dangerous work. Any minute your life could change
Absolutely.
or end.
Yeah, and so I did the same thing, only for the Air Force. And so for me, it was more about selecting the targets that were going to be, in my case, bombed. So,
All highly difficult work, demanding the most of your intelligence, your strength, your wits, and your ability to stay awake when you need to. All of this is something that you understand, and when you talk to vets who are struggling, that must give them a sense of comfort that I'm not alone here.
absolutely. And, I'm also a psychologist, and so for me, after I got out of the military, I got my doctorate in clinical psychology and learned how to help veterans from a psychological standpoint to deal with the symptoms. But what I wasn't able to do is then build community around them. And that's where the mission for Stay Alive Vets came from, was that recognition that there aren't a lot of places, from the federal government anyway, where you can actually get that type of community again, where you can have your band of brothers or sisters that are there and have your back. And so building that community around people, but also recognizing that people need to have something that brings them to that group. So we really focus on occupational therapy or recreational therapy programs that actually do that. They teach someone a skill, they teach them a way to manage their symptoms, but they're also building that community around them where they have people that they can go to and talk with when they're experiencing a problem in their everyday life. Someone that's not a clinical person, but someone that can really walk along life with them.
How does it work in real? Is this a drop-in center type of arrangement, or is this something more formal? How does it work?
Do you want to take this?
Yeah. So we actually, we raise funds, and we, no pun intended, vet organizations to see if they are actually serving the kind of mission that we're hoping to connect vets with. And, we've funded organizations that take vets on surfing trips and teach them how to surf at the ocean. And, that outdoor recreation and that bonding with other vets is a very healthy way to kind of break down some of those barriers and have them talk with each other and, relate with each other. We've donated money to Veteran Overland, which is a organization where veterans take other veterans out in off-roading rigs and just travel in backcountry and just get out into the nature with veterans, where, part of our training was setting up tents outside and being out there, and it kind of brings you back and allows you to connect with other veterans so you can kind of work your way through some of those traumas that you experienced.
Yeah, and so one of the our partner programs that Alvin's talking about is the Vet Center SURF program. So they also have a psychologist that's attached to that program, and so they're also utilizing the surfing as an analogy between the unknown and helping them to work through their symptoms at the same time that they're building these bonds with other veterans. So they also have overnight trips where they go camping. So there's both elements that we're looking for when we're vetting these programs. So we're looking for, number one, is it someplace where the veteran is going to develop a skill and develop relationship? But beyond that, we're also looking at how are they using their funds. So one of the things that we as veterans have noticed about a number of organizations that are out there that cater to vets is that there can be grifting that happens in this type of field where people will, because they know that veterans are important to a lot of our communities, and they'll utilize that to get funds, but then they won't use that money to then go directly to the services. So that's what we felt was a gap in what's already there, is a way to vet these other services so that people know that when they give to our organization, that money is going to an organization that, number one, says that do what they say that they're going to do, and that they are actually getting results from the services they're providing. So we're looking at both of those things when we're initially giving and when we're going to give again to a program. So we have a vetting process that we go through with the organizations. They have an application they fill out. So we're looking at very specific criteria before we apply a grant to any organization.
Bluntly, some veterans have the attitude, oh, are you a legit nonprofit helping vets?
Exactly.
And I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. When it comes to your programs, can you tell me how you design them and what do you offer totally?
So we don't have programs that we offer ourselves. What we have are partner programs. So certainly there have been some that have asked for assistance from us, and so we have helped them to develop pieces of their program where they can help to assist. So one of our other missions is education and advocacy, and so when we work with a partner organization to help either design their program or to design the evaluation of their program, we have the expertise to be able to do that, both from my professional background, but also as far as being veterans ourselves. The way that we help connect people is that when we have partnered with a program and decide to donate to them, we always invite them back. So every year, our main fundraiser is on Veterans Day. That was how it started, with me wanting to honor veterans on Veterans Day. So we still do that every year. A part of our programming is that we invite veterans to come out to our events, and we give them a really good meal and just honor them that day. So that's a piece of what's really important to how this was conceptualized and how it keeps going. But then they're going to learn about our partner organizations, what they do, how they can be helped. And if people call us or contact us online, we're going to connect them that way as well to our partner organizations. We develop these very trusting relationships with our partner organizations, and we know them very well, and so can connect based on what community they're in and what their needs are. And so we're always looking to expand our programming in different types of programs that we are going to support as partners. But we're really looking at what are they doing and how well are they doing it.
Thank you for that. I didn't know that you were far more into these partnerships instead of trying to offer these services yourself. That's a rather nice model for you, because you can vet the people who can help the vets best. And without that money that they have going more toward administration than the vets themselves and their programs.
Right.
What kinds of programs are offering kind of real promise for the vets that the vets themselves are telling you?
Yeah, so one program that we have sponsored for a number of years now is IACT. And so that one is a program that was started by someone here in our own community that started forging knives. And so he went on a television show called Forged in Fire. He was a champion of that show, and then came back here to our community and started a forge, where he then later developed a program for first responders and veterans where he teaches them to forge. And what I really love about that program is that it doesn't stop there, but then he teaches them to be mentors. And so right now, they're mentoring other veterans and other first responders. They are starting a program where they also are mentoring at-risk youth.
Toward what end?
Mentoring them as far as in what they're doing with the forging, but also being a mentor and an assistant to them throughout life.
How does that work in real? Alvin?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think just working with your hands brings you back to what it essentially is to be in the military, right? Like it's all about practical application, and I think that's part of the healing process. A lot of our programs are outdoor programs, and I think being outdoors is just inherently therapeutic to our mental health. And you know, in today's society, we have so much technology that we can lean on. You know, we can be on the internet, we can stream all of our TV shows. We never really have to leave our home if we don't want to. And just from my point of view, I think that can be detrimental. Isolation is one of the most impactful challenges to our mental health.
Talk about that a little, because I know that isolation during the pandemic, we've all been very slow to come back from that and reach out and reconnect with the community, all of us as humans.
Well, and isolation is a hallmark of PTSD. So when veterans are isolating and they're not connecting with community and they're not oftentimes able to connect with their loved ones or people that used to be part of their community, because their experiences are just so different. And, you know, if they're dealing with the idea of what it's been to cause harm to others, and then they don't know how to manage that, or, you know, they're experiencing anger, and you know, that creates issues with them and family members. So being around other people that understand what that's like and how to manage those symptoms, they get to learn from one another, and they get to be a support system for one another. So oftentimes what we hear coming back from these people that are involved in the programs is that it gives their life meaning, and it gives them purpose again. So that purpose that they used to have when they were in the military, doing an important job, protecting our nation, they get to recapture some of that. And oftentimes that's the piece that brings them back from the brink of wanting to commit suicide or self-harm.
It affected you too, in real, didn't it?
Absolutely. In 2008, I was deployed to Afghanistan, and upon coming back, our unit in 2008 was the hardest hit unit in the Marine Corps. We lost 20 killed in action and 150 wounded, which was over 10% of our unit at that time. Since that deployment in 2008, we've had over 40 commit suicide. So we've lost more.
From your unit?
Yep.
Oh.
We've lost more to suicide than we did the enemy. And a lot of that is that adjustment coming back. And that's one of the reasons I serve on this board, is how do we reverse those numbers? The numbers continue to change, but a few years ago it was we're losing 22 veterans a day to suicide.
Angela.
And I think an important thing about that is it's widely believed that those numbers are an undercount because those are only the ones that can be verified as being suicide. But a lot of veterans, just like a lot of people in the general population, will have accidents as a means of committing suicide. And so the general thought is that a more accurate number is probably around 44 veterans a day die by suicide. And so that's a huge number.
And it's dramatically larger than the counterparts in our civilian counterparts. So
absolutely. So there absolutely is a need for this kind of work. And there are, like we said, a lot of places that are out there doing it, or they're doing aspects or pieces of veteran work, but they may not be doing this type of work. And so that's what we look for. Those are the organizations that we want to contact us, that we can potentially partner with. Our funds aren't limitless. So for us, we do have to be careful with who we're giving money to, and are they effective at what they say they're going to be doing? So we're very protective of that. We're very protective of our reputation, because we want to make sure that people can trust us and know that we are keeping at the forefront what's best for the veteran, and making sure that every dollar counts.
You know this from your own experience.
Yeah, so, we ask for testimonials. And so one way that we got connected with the surf program actually was because I just happened to be at the coast with my family one day, and we stopped at a farmer's market, and there was a veteran there who had a little table, and I was like, I'm just going to go talk with him. And so it turned out that he was someone who had actually gotten involved with the surf program, and he went from being someone who was homeless, disconnected from family, suicidal, to having meaning in life again, reconnecting with family, getting involved. Now he's mentoring other veterans, he's teaching. So, there are a lot of success stories like that we hear through each of the programs that we're involved with, that we partner with. We want to partner with places that are affecting real change. And these are lives that are saved, families that are saved and brought back together, reconciled, because of these programs that we partner with.
How do you tell people what to look for if they know somebody that they think might be struggling in this way? It's different for vets in their own realm.
So, the things that the signs and symptoms of suicidality are going to be the things that we've been talking about: the isolation, the anger, sort of every aspect of life blowing up, giving things away, not wanting to engage with other people, not coming to work. Veterans are very good at putting on a stoic face and not showing their pain.
I mean, that's how we're trained, right?
Yep.
That's, you in the face of fear, you stand up, and that's what we celebrate in veterans, but it's also one of our major detriments is we never show weakness. And any sign of need for help seems like a sign for weakness. I think one of the major issues is you go in and you create this tribe around you, whether it's your battalion, whether it's your platoon, and then, you change into a warrior, you change into somebody who's deployed or not deployed, and just have those experiences, and then you come back home and you're a little bit different than your family. You're a little bit different than your high school friends. And you don't have your tribe to lean on anymore. And I feel like a lot of veterans start to isolate. They feel a little bit weird. They don't understand why their interactions are a little bit different than they used to be. And a lot of it comes from the training that we get in the military and that lack of reintegration.
Yeah. Keep on.
So a veteran might not tell you, hey, I'm going to hurt myself. But when you look at the things that are going on around them, their lives, and you're noticing that those are issues for them, that, like we talked about, the isolation, the difficulty keeping a job, the anger, the outburst, those are symptoms that they might need some support. So reaching out to first through that organization is a great thing to do. You can also call the Veteran Suicide Hotline if you're in fear for their immediate danger. And through them, then they can get connected with services through the VA for the therapy aspects of it. And we do talk with the VA and their suicide coordinators, and so they do know of our program and the partners that we have, and so hopefully they're connecting them that way, or referring them to us so that we can connect them that way here in the Central Mid Valley. But there are still a lot of veterans that don't get connected. Of the roughly 15% of people that live in the United States that are veterans, only a very few of them are actually going to receive services. So knowing that there's a program like this where they can just go and hang out with some other veterans that understand what they're going through, it's certainly a door to help them get the services that they need. And so, if you know of someone, have them reach out to us.
Absolutely.
What is your website?
Our website is stayalivevets.org.
That's easy enough. Stayalivevets.org.
Yes.
Thank you. And you're looking at housing. How did you get into that? What is the name of your nonprofit again?
So it's called Courtney Place Veterans Housing, and it's a low-income housing for veterans in our community. It's named after the late Senator Peter Courtney.
Oh, yes, Peter Courtney.
Yes, who passed away recently. His first interaction with the state of Oregon was he had a clerkship for the Oregon Supreme Court. And he showed up in Oregon and he didn't have a place to stay. So he went to the local YMCA and they offered him a place to live. And that was his first place that he lived, is at the local Salem YMCA here. And I was on the board of the YMCA, and we started tearing down the old building and rebuilding the new beautiful YMCA that we have today. And Peter Courtney was a little bit upset because we didn't have any plans for affordable housing, and that was part of his story. And then he came back and he said, well, what if I had a little bit of money that the state could put towards veterans housing? And I was the only vet on the board, so they put me in charge of it. So that was my initial connection there. And one of my agreements with the YMCA was we can't just give affordable housing and change somebody's life. You have to give those connections navigational services, connect them to the benefits that they've earned, as well as peer support and employment benefits. And so we have 3 full-time staff that connect our residents to those services. We've been open for about 1.5 years, and many of our residents use programs that save finances. Many of our residents go on the surf trips. Many of our residents go on the overlanding trips. They've gone to the forge and made knives. And, a lot of these veterans were homeless veterans who, one of the veterans who went to the surf trip was in a wheelchair. And he said he's been wanting to go to the beach for the last 10 years, but he hasn't physically or financially been able. And our organization, SAVE, gave him the opportunity to go on that trip and see the ocean. So it's those tiny little barriers that we take for granted. Like right now we could jump in a car and the 3 of us could be at the beach in an hour. But for him, he spent 10 years wanting to go to the beach and didn't have the capability to. And so part of it is breaking down those barriers, not just the physical and financial, but the emotional and the mental. So that's really our mission and what we're trying to do. And I'm lucky because I get to be part of 2 organizations and they kind of cross over. So we want to do that healing to our brothers and sisters that we served with.
Yeah. And so in this last year, we were able to serve 6 different organizations here in the area that serve vets in Oregon as well as the Pacific Northwest. And the year before that, I think we were 4 different organizations, I believe, that we were able to serve. So our hope is that we will just continue to grow and serve more veterans. We would love to go nationwide at some point, but right now we're focused here in the Pacific Northwest because we think it's important. We want all veterans to be saved. You know, one death by suicide is too many.
Thank you for sharing your stories and your hope for vets and successes. That's what we're really after for vets, successes.
Yeah,
Stay Alive Vets. StayAliveVets.org. Well, Angela, Alvin, thank you so much for joining us today on InSight. And thank you for joining us. I'm Wendy Brokaw.